So I want y'all to listen to this woman's story because she's facing eviction and she wanted to move into her man's house. But her man like, nah, you can't move into my house. But check this out.
So I ghosted my boyfriend on New Year's Eve and I have not spoken to him since. Before I get into this, I just want to say that me and my boyfriend, we have been together for a year. Well, almost a year, 11 months, a year on February 2nd, we will have been together, okay? My boyfriend is also 34, grown man. He also is a homeowner, has a pretty good job, and also has a business that he's starting. So let's start there, right? So recently, obviously, like you all have known, I have become unemployed. And I have not been able to find a job. I have put in like 30 applications a day. I've got nothing, like barely even an interview. I've gone on 2 interviews. So I've been literally struggling and I no longer have the funds to afford these bills, okay? Anyways, okay, I'm gonna keep it together for this. I'm not gonna get stressed out. I no longer have the funds to afford these bills. It's something so crazy about having hundreds of thousands of dollars one day and then the next day having nothing. But that's what's going on right now. And so I am vulnerable with my man and I go, hey, I'm gonna need to like stay with you for a little while I get myself together. Like, I don't have anything on the rent. And so I'm gonna need to move with you while I get myself together. Mind you, I said he has his own house, his own 3-bedroom apartment in a nice neighborhood. He also has a best friend. His best friend lives with him, mind you, and has been living with him for however many years he's like lived there, almost the whole time he's lived there. And so I'm like, if his best friend can live with him, why not his girlfriend, you know? So I'm like, hey, I need a place to stay. Which honestly, in hindsight, I should have even have to ask for that. He knew I was struggling. He should have said, hey, let me take something off of your plate. Like, come stay with me so that you can breathe and get this. If he really cared about me, he would have said that, but he didn't. He sat there and he watched me struggle and then watched me get to the point where I was like, hey, I just need a break. Like, I'm literally so depressed. I'm losing my mind. I can't find anything. Can you please help me? And he said, no. He said, no. He said, no, you cannot live with me. Mind you, living with him is free. Doesn't cost him anything. He said, no. I can't live with him. At first he goes, oh, I like that we have our own places to retreat to when we get into our arguments. And wrong answer. Number one, when we get into arguments, we never leave. Like, we stay in the same room and we continue to talk it out until we work it through, which I think is a really good habit that we have and a really good green flag that we have in our relationship. Yes, do we get into arguments? So does everyone. Yes, do I lose my cool? I'm a woman, but I rein it back in and we figure it out and nobody goes home. So that's a weird thing to say. We've never even done that. Second of all, that's like a problem to me, not a solution. When we get into arguments, we should not be leaving, because what happens when we get married? There is no way to go. We both live in the same house. So maybe that's not a good habit to start. Being that we have not started yet, maybe let's not start that now. On our very first date, I told him that I wanted to be engaged within a year. I said, after a year, I want to be engaged. He said that's plenty of enough time for someone to know whether or not they want to get married or not. This is what he said. We have talked about it, I shit you not, probably 10 times throughout this year. And never once did he say, I don't think this is going well enough for that to be a realistic goal anymore. Never once did he say, hey, like, let's pump the brakes. I don't think that we're doing that well for it to get to that. So I'm thinking we're doing well. We're on schedule. After a year or a year and a half, we'll probably get engaged. Then he goes, I don't think I want to live with someone again until I'm married to them, which is some new boundary that he literally just made up, because he's never said that the whole time we've been together. And I go, maybe it's not a good idea that you live with someone after you already got married to them, because what if you guys are not compatible to live together and you don't know that until after you're already married? Then what? That's really dumb, actually. And so I'm like, okay, that's a completely new thing. But granted, it's been a year. We set our goal for a year. Are we going to get married? And he goes, no, that was your goal. Since when was this my goal? It was my goal, but like, I thought we were in agreement, because you never said that we weren't in agreement. Clearly, I made all this up in my head and this was never a goal. I just thought it was a goal because I continuously talked about it And he never said that it was unrealistic. As a matter of fact, he said the quite opposite, that it was a realistic goal to have. And never once, as we neared to the end of that year, did he ever say, hey, I don't think we're close to being married. So imagine my surprise when he says, I don't think we're close to being married. We still have things to figure out. Because a couple of nights ago, I got super irritated at him and yelled at him and told him to leave my house. And apparently that's enough of a reason for him to be like, whoa, I don't want to marry her. All right. So yeah. And so I said, hey, I'm actually scared that I'm going to be homeless because I said, I'm actually thinking I'm going to be homeless because I don't have a job and these bills keep coming and I can't do it no more. I'm tapped out of resources. And I think I'm gonna end up, if you don't let me live with you, I'm gonna end up in my car, living in my car, something like being actually homeless. And he goes, well, plenty of millionaires have lived in their car before.
Well, this is what I would say about this story here and what she's saying. First and foremost, you said that you want to be married in a year and he didn't say the same thing, then you can't expect him to be on that if that's not what he was on. Now, he went along with you, it sounded like it, just to appease you, but that's not what he was on. If a man wants to marry you in that short amount of time or be with you, he'll make it known, right? Prime example, me. I got with my wife. Within 6 months, I had asked my wife to marry me. In about a year, we was married, and we've been married 13 years. That's my story. I already knew within 6 months I wanted to marry her. I knew. It wasn't, nothing I said, I got to wait and see. But me personally, I always had a rule when it came to any kind of woman. I need to find out what I want to do with you within a year. I never believed in serial dating, so I'm just dating, like just having a woman to be having a woman around. I never believed in that. I think that's a waste of my time and a waste of money. And I don't need my emotions tied to some woman or whatever. And I'm not even serious about it like that, right? It's better just to stay single if you're going to be doing all that. I'm a person that feel dating is a means to relationship to marriage. It's not just, I'm just dating to be dating and just be like, what are you doing? To me, you're just wasting money and time. You may as well just stay by yourself. And if you don't want to be married, then you should just stay single. Don't do anything. I mean, it's a waste of time. But basically with this guy, he really wasn't feeling you like that. He didn't want you in his house. Now, some people say, well, I would say he didn't really feel it because he said, nah, you could be homeless. That means he didn't like you like that. Because if a man really like you or love you, he's not going to let you go without at all. He going to let, oh, no. My girl not going to be sleeping on no street. Oh, no. Come on. Matter of fact, you would have been in the house already. If you would have just told him about some struggles you had, you would already been in that house about struggles with your bills, right? Especially when you told him you lost your job, he would have made the initiative and tell you, well, why don't you come over here and stay here? You don't have to be worrying about all that. So clearly he didn't like you, ma'am. He just didn't like you. He liked you enough to be around you, but he didn't like you enough to bring you into his life, bring you into his space. Once again, I wouldn't have wasted my time with nobody like that to make them think otherwise. That's just what I wouldn't do, but that's just me. But that's why you're facing homelessness, because the dude just don't like you. And I guess that's just shocking to you that the guy would rather have his friend in the house than you. You say, oh, well, I'm his girl. Why would he have me like that? Because trust me, there's some other woman that he's talking to that I can tell you. And he's just trying to figure that out with that other woman. And once he do, she'll move in that house quicker than you move in that house. But yeah, you gonna be living in your car before you get in that guy's house. It's just that simple. So moral of the story is this. Why don't you make sure, what you're doing in your relationship. Don't tell a man he should be marrying you or you should be engaged within a year if that's not nothing that he even said and y'all both agreed on if that's the case. And maybe after so many months, he's like, I don't want to be with her like that. I mean, let me try to still figure this thing out. I like her, but I don't know if I want to take it to that level as of yet. You trying to force this man to be put in his house. it's been some disasters happening too with a lot of men about bringing a woman in their house, and if he got to put her behind out, good luck with that, because sometimes it's hard to get them out the house. So, yeah. So